Awesome. Welcome, everyone. This is the Metacartel Ventures community call, the first one. Chill hangout, bunch of people here. So yeah, we can just start with intros. Maybe we should just go down the list. I don't know who's first. Is everyone in the same order in Zoom? I don't know if they are in Zoom because they are in Discord, but I'll just go down the list. So hey, I'm Hamad, also known as MetaDreamer. I'm one of the Blood Mages at Metacartel Ventures, and I also am a founder of MetaFactory and MetaGame, designer and developer. Yeah, that's me. Gustav, how about you?
Yeah, my name is Gustav. I'm from Denmark, also part of the Metacartel Venture DAO. I'm here in Switzerland working at the NIR Foundation. And I'll just give the mic to Bodan.
Yeah, thanks. So, hey, my name is Bohdan. I am from Ukraine. Also, I am the Mage of the Blood and the founder of Mitram project. And my background is engineering, so I am blockchain engineer and investing in blockchain, investing in DeFi, investing in everything what's about our decentralized better future. So yeah, that's me. And I give the word to the Victor.
Thanks, Bowden. Yeah, I'm also a Blood Mage at Metacartel Ventures. I'm Victor, live in DC, work on RDI and programmable interest applications in DeFi. And I will pass it to Rolf.
Hey, what's up, guys? Rolf here, also part of Metacartel. Just finished running a little venture that was doing crypto for merchants and then a little hedge fund, and now building a little venture in the mining space, Bitcoin mining space, as well as a platform for NFTs in South Korea. Romain Figueroa.
Yeah, sorry, it's a hard name. I'm not from Metacartel. I'm here with someone I work with who's called Maxime, who's just here. We're building a governance lending platform, and I just wanted to have a look what you guys were doing because we're just starting to talk about what we're building, getting the word out. We haven't published anything yet. We're going to build a prototype during the Makers Meet hackathon, which begins in 2 days. And basically what we do is that we're working on governance, everything about governance in a small governance laboratory, which is called Constellation. So I just wanted to have a look what everyone's building. And I think there's already quite a few nice projects that were mentioned.
Awesome.
And who goes the mic to, Romain?
Oh, well, Drew hasn't talked yet, I think.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Drew. So I'm currently a junior in college, but I've been in crypto since 2013. So I was mining Bitcoin when I was in middle school. I got an Ethereum in 2016, and that's when I did my first hackathon. Been building ever since, and now I'm helping build a DeFi insurance protocol that's completely trustless. So we use contracts to evaluate claims instead of governance or oracles. But yeah, that's what I'm building right now.
That's the exact timeline as me, mining Bitcoin in middle school and then ETH in 2016. Sweet. Who's the mic to next?
Who hasn't talked yet?
There's Callum. There's
Callum, go for it.
Yo, yeah, I'm Callum. I'm also a blood mage at Metacartel Ventures. Run a lot of the operations there, and then also do a lot of like token economics and governance work with a collective called FireEyes, and just generally hang out in the Ethereum community and try and make cool shit. So I'll pass to Sky.
Hey guys, I am Sky. I contribute to a bunch of pieces of Metacartel, and then I also work pretty deeply with DAO in the DeFi space. Yeah, that's it. And I don't know what is a blood mage. Is that like a paladin?
Blood Mages, like the members of Venture DAO, I think, or I don't know if there's any more official meaning of Blood Mage
But is
besides
that a
member of
certain
Venture
role?
DAO.
Is that a certain role, or is that just everyone that's Metacartel Ventures is a blood mage?
It's you're an active member of Metacartel Blood Mage. You can be demoted to Goblin if you don't contribute enough. But basically, everybody that's doing stuff is a Blood Mage.
Cool. Who didn't go? Katia?
I think.
Did she go?
Yes. Sorry, I won't. I just finished my workout, so I look terrible. That's why I will just be on audio for a second. So I'm also a member of Metacartel Ventures. I've been investing and working in crypto since 2015, and I invest sometimes as an angel investor. I'm also working with P2P Validator. These are our partners. So staking and baking and all this kind of network services, like video transcoding, for example, we did for LifePeer. So different types of services, and super excited about DeFi, of course, who's not? And also I'm very excited to start these calls because I want to meet new founders, listen about cool new ideas, and just engage with our community. So that should be fun. And let's hear Jason.
Thanks, Katya. Hi, I'm Jason. I think for those of you who were here when we first started this call, I already did a quick intro, but I'm Jason. I'm the founder of TrueBit, which is a scalability solution for Ethereum that's been around. I guess started the research back in 2015 and getting ready to move stuff onto the mainnet in the coming weeks. And yeah, I guess that's what I am. I'm a mathematician by training.
Awesome.
So who's next?
I think Asali, you haven't went yet?
Hey, Al, how's it going? I'm just a lurker. I just found out about Metacartel a few weeks ago. I've been learning about crypto for so long. I've been in the space for a while, just trading, and I'm an infrastructure developer. So I'm really learning Solidity and just trying to see what's going on. And I'm really excited about the space, as of course. Why else would I be here? So I'm glad to be here.
Welcome. Nathan, how about you?
Hey guys. Yes, I've been in space for a couple of years, 2016, so it looks like I'm a newbie here. But on the X consensus, I was at variable, for those who remember. I've been investing in the space for a couple of years. I joined a project recently called the Sandbox and left recently to get involved full-time more in the Ethereum space through Ethereum France, also SEC for those who know this big conference, hopefully as well this year, but also trying to get involved with Metacartel Ventures. So hopefully I'll be able to join you guys soon. Glad to be here. Cheers.
Awesome. Maxime, how are you doing? How are you? Who are you? If you're there. Mike might be muted, but we can go on to someone else who hasn't went. I think Lol Keck. How's Lol Keck doing? No Lol Keck. All good. Is there anyone else who hasn't went? Rolf, you went, right? I'm not sure.
Yep. Just had to bounce for a sec, so I'll be back.
Sweet. No worries. Okay. I think we can just get started then. The governance dashboard. I'm curious to hear more about that. I don't know if he's still here. Is he? Maxime and the other guy.
Oh yeah, we're still here. So it's
There you
not a
go.
dashboard. It's a landing protocol. Like Compound or Aave. But the idea is to do this with governance tokens and to only extract and loan governance rights.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's very clear because the idea actually becomes very complex once you start going down the rabbit hole, like almost anything in crypto, of course.
Yeah. So lending and borrowing governance rights. What's the appeal of that, I guess? Because like that, I think it's
your crowd for rabbit holes.
Yeah, because like I think it's interesting. Like there's a lot of like discussion about token-based governance and like the ability for people to like buy voting power and that sort of thing, and like especially like borrowing voting power. That's interesting. I haven't seen that done before, and it's almost like a step further into that direction of like liquid governance.
Yeah, I think it's quite taboo right now to talk about lending governance rights, right? That's exactly why it hasn't been done. There's one main utility is that it allows low wealth users to actually have an impact on governance. Right now, no one can really carry a proposal if they don't have either a lot of tokens or a lot of backbone, a lot of support. And to get support, you need to do a lot of marketing, or it needs a lot of time. So it's actually quite counterproductive the way we have governance architecture right now. And the idea is that it would allow for some smaller players to actually have an impact and to actually be able to be activists on governance. That's the first one. The second one is that current users and holders of governance tokens actually have a very low yield. So it's very uninteresting and very unworth to actually hold governance tokens. I'm going to talk about this from a very unique standpoint because I used to be a banking lawyer, so I have an idea, a very specific idea of what an equity is and what a governance token is. And right now, one of the problems is that governance tokens are not equities; they do not represent a share of a company. So there is a very huge gap in between what the people think a governance token is and what its value, the current value is. I think it might be a very big problem for protocols. The idea behind the platform we're working on is that it would allow the tokens to have much more value because it would add a new money Lego to the governance tokens. So for example, you have your governance token, you can stake it in the platform, and it actually allows people to get yield from them. So touching the interest from the borrowers plus other usage we're working on right now. The idea is to supercharge tokens.
So
go ahead.
Go ahead, Rolf.
Zoom, man. A quick comment on that. So, I mean, crypto, one of the great things is that it adds this kind of financial element really easily, right, to different types of value that we can tokenize in one form or the other. But I gotta ask, do you think that the people who should have a voice in governance are necessarily the ones that should reap the greatest financial rewards? In other words, it's what I'm saying here, you will kind of, are you prioritizing one type of labor over other types of labor? In other words, the yield that you plan to give the people who make governance decisions is yield that other types of people who do other labor won't get, right?
Well, I think that's a very important question. Basically, there are two kinds of users, and Cronje wrote an article about this yesterday saying that 90% of users in crypto were only there for the money. That's the whole point of the protocol. People who will lend the money, the governance tokens, are here for the money, and that's okay. But the people who will borrow, sorry, English is not my main language. When they're borrowing it, it's because they needed to use the voting rights. That means that we're going to polarize the voting rights to users that actually need it. That's one of the reasons, and I think it's a very important one. The second one, and I think it's much more important, and as I said before, it's kind of a taboo thing to do right now, is that it's actually going to bring to the table some very important debate that haven't been brought on yet in governance architecture, meaning that you can influence votes by buying them from someone else. If we're not doing it, someone else will do it, someone with much less good intentions. That's what I mean. I think it's very important very early on to start having question and a debate about this topic. The reason we're doing it is that we're a governance laboratory. We said this before. The idea is that we're going to help work on governance for all the protocols. And I think there's a very big list of things that should be done and that shouldn't be done in the way you architecture governance. One of the reasons I'm doing this is, as I said, I worked in banking law, so I have an idea of what current regulation and current laws look like. And some of these laws were actually put in place because they try to stabilize the ecosystem. I think we can learn a lot from current financial world, but we don't have to take everything from them. And the idea is actually to bring debates and bring projects and bring ideas into the current ecosystem.
I'm curious.
Romain, that's very interesting. Oh, sorry. I just wanted to mention that it sounds familiar. It sounds similar to PowerPool. Is it? Does it look like what PowerPool is doing? Basically, the foundation for buying, lending votes to those who are interested in actually exercising their voting rights, and those that are not, they will just hold the governance token just to earn the passive yield on it. Have you seen PowerPool, and how is this? How is this different
I'm a big holder of PowerPool, a very big fan of their product.
Okay.
And actually, well, we're inspired by what they're doing. I think it's a different take on how we could automate governance, because the way we started thinking about governance is that we needed to structure it a bit like political parties. Like you have a delegate and you have a whole team working on them, and you structure them by siloing them between each protocols. But the thing is, in crypto, everything that works and everything that starts accelerating is based on automation and on algorithms. And PowerPool is a very example of a very unique and complex take on how we could automate and governance. I think the way we're doing it is that we're doing something that's a bit less risky and different in the way that you don't loan the tokens and you don't go in indexes. We saw what happened with when one of the tokens in the Yeti pool crashed. It actually crashed the whole index. The way PowerPool does things is more risky than the way we're envisioning things. That's my point of view.
I'm kind of curious how you're modeling or imagining the sort of time factor of this will work, because it seems to me that there are certain moments in time, certain votes that come up that will be way more financially impactful for a protocol. Like, for instance, the vote to allocate, to burn additional supply, like to say we're going to get rid of half of the uni or half of the balancer pool tokens that are the balancer tokens that are still out there, or to vote fees in for the holders of the governance tokens. That those are sort of the main, I think, financially driven votes that people sort of are contemplating when they think about governance tokens. And it strikes me that there's obviously a huge premium to hold one of those tokens at the time that vote occurs, but it doesn't strike me as something that there's a perpetual value and perpetual borrow demand for tokens outside of these sort of discrete voting events. How do you guys think about the way that governance proceeds, and the fact that, at least in my view, it seems like there are these kind of crucial moments and crucial votes at which time holding the token is much more valuable, and there'd be much more of a market for it than a wider array of time. So
I think that's one of the main aspects about borrowing governance tokens, is that most people won't actually borrow them on a yearly basis, but you can't actually know when and at what block is actually going to start a proposal. I'm not sure if you guys are technical on how governance works, but basically, when a proposal you become able to vote on a protocol on a proposal, sorry, it snapshots a part. It depends on which protocols, but actually the ones I know, most of them, they snapshot a block and they say all the holders at this specific block are able to vote with the tokens they held at this moment. So the thing is, before a vote is actually published, you can't actually know at what point it's going to be snapshot. So you have to hold for a certain amount of time to be sure you can actually vote with the tokens you're going to borrow. So first of all, you need to borrow them for at least a minimum of some weeks if you want to actually effectively be able to vote with them. That's the first part. And the second part is that I think we can be much broader than simply one important vote. For example, I am a fund and there are some decisions I don't agree with in the protocol. I will borrow a certain amount of voting rights, and I will lobby some of my other friends to be able to have a veto on certain subjects. That means that for a certain amount of time, the fund or the activists are going to lobby to prevent some decisions to happen. That can be a strength and can also be a weakness because it can stop governance from functioning. That's where you see actually the dual capacity of the protocol, is that it allows activists to be more active and to be more rewarded for the way they work, but it can actually block governance.
I got a question for the group. Like we're talking about like really important proposals, and the important proposals are like the contentious ones, right? Like where you don't know what's going to happen and there's going to be a major decision. Let's say like the token holders say, let's give all the money in the treasury to the token holders. That's going to be like a very important proposal. All of these snapshot votes, right? Like they can be attacked or not attacked using loans, or, you know, Maker was flash loan voted but attacked. But at the end of the day, the snapshot proposal is like an outcome. And then there's traditionally like a multi-sig, which is controlled by a few people or a handful of people that then makes the decision, right? So when there's like a really contentious thing and snapshot vote says, give everyone the money, and then the people that control the multi-sig is like, well, that was attacked, or that's not like good for the project, like let's not do it. Like, doesn't it just make the whole thing kind of pointless if the multi-sig can override the snapshot vote?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like it's an important thing, like the sort of, you know, these sort of problems, it's like you can kind of ignore them until they come up, and then when they come up, things can get really messy. And this is where I think like this idea of like on-chain execution comes in. And it's really tricky because like as soon as like execution's on chain and you're not in control of it at all, and you have no safety nets, then it becomes a much bigger attack target. And you know, when you sort of have like the trusted like group of people who can actually execute on things, it does give that level of defense against like it getting attacked, and it deters attackers from trying to even do it. And I think like as these protocols start to become more like fully decentralized in their governance, with like on-chain execution of votes, it gets really funky, you know? There's so many wrong incentives there, like financially and like for the project. And it's the article that Andre wrote recently about community and building in DeFi, like alludes to this a lot, where oftentimes the community members aren't there for the success of the project. They're just there for the biggest pump in the short term. And they don't really understand what it takes to build in DeFi, and what how hard like software development really is. And they really don't care about the project if it wasn't for the financial incentives they're getting. And you know, because of that reason, it's like the way that like you have like open governance is like just having it free for all, I think can definitely be like detrimental to a project. And you know, I still really believe in the value of community, but I think the important part is like curating the community, instead of just sort of giving everyone you know, free money, here you go, free money for everyone, paying users to kind of be there, where anyone who's there is there who is there because of financial incentives. So it's naturally not going to be like a high quality curated, you know, group of people who really care about the project. So yeah, I think like if you have community guardrails, then you can have on-chain execution. But if it's kind of free for all, then the need for a multi-sig to sort of act as like a protective barrier, I still think it's worthwhile.
Yeah, I guess my concern is like this like solution that Maxine's talking about and power pool and like these things like are being built to like make better and solve things within a governance structure where that governance structure is already like weakened by this multi-sig control. So like really this solution, however cool it is, like if you could lend voting power and then like there's a vote and that is in place and that works, but then it can be overridden, then it's almost like you're building under the wrong initial circumstances. Like you should have the functioning and then build these new solutions on the functioning system, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not sure I agree on this because I'm part of the people who believe that governance, on-chain governance has a very, very bright future. I think it's going to become the norm in terms of corporate governance. But right now it's not functioning. And I don't think we have to wait for things to work to start working on how to support and enhance them. While governance is going to become better, it obviously is, the protocol we're building will follow and will help these protocols become better as a guardrail, but also as you can think of it two ways. One, it's that such a protocol is white hat in governance by showing the current failures. And the second one is that it actually helps the users being incentivized to use these protocols without actually costing the protocols money.
I guess I don't understand why you're optimistic on this being good for governance as opposed to it being an opportunity for essentially like vulture capital to come in and essentially like strip mine a project that has a lot of users that may not understand deeply how to protect the protocol, but are willing to get, you know, a few cents on the dollar as yield on their token holdings. And so they delegate to essentially somebody that's going to come in and, you know, vote and propose something that's essentially going to benefit them financially, but to the detriment of the project.
I think Bogdan has mentioned nicely in the chat, and I agree with this, that it's probably not the best thing for the governance, because this is not the reason why we're creating blockchain governance, just to create exactly then the same structures for, again, the passive people just to lend it out and just earn their yield, exactly as you said. But when there is a demand on the market, someone builds the solution. So if we're seeing it's already the second like power pool, and what Roman is talking about is a second solution on the market, it means there is a demand for it. Like it means that, yeah, there's inherent desire in people to become passive and just earn their yield. It's also, I agree with what you were said previously about the community. It's like when I remember when I was looking at the projects and they say like, oh, we have 7,000 people in our community. I'm like, this is not a community. If you have 30, you're lucky, but the rest are just there for the yield. And I guess we either can try to change it, and maybe I would be interested to listen to Bogdan because he is building something very fundamental in this, or we're either there to change it, or we're just following what the mainstream investors are looking for and just giving them the product they need.
Yeah, it's really tricky. Like, yeah, like Sky said, like I definitely get where, you know, like governance, like the governance really only matters for contentious votes. You know, if something's uncontentious, the governance is almost not even needed. You know, and I think like too many things in DeFi like don't work enough on governance minimization, because like this whole idea of launching a governance token as like, you know, this like almost a veil for a security, because they can't actually launch a real security, so they need to build all the value in this governance token. They're trying to like trying to kill two birds with one stone, which is like you know, in a side-handed way, like give people their financial incentive, but also, you know, have governance happening. And like when you have both things at once, it doesn't like fit nicely together. And, you know, the contentious stuff is where the governance like would really matter. And that's where people would have a higher demand for borrowing it. And then if that can be like overridden, then it's like that there's kind of like a cap on that, you know, how serious people will take it, and how big that decision is. And like, I'm pretty sure any big decision in any of these DeFi protocols is not something that can be executed on chain automatically. It's going to be something that someone has to sign. So it's like, what is really the value of governance even? And I think like, I would be lying if I said that like anyone who has governance tokens is there because they're excited about the governance of the protocol. You know, that's not really 95% of people's like interest. So yeah,
I think you have to separate, like, so Compound, like Compound's voting system is like on-chain actionable, right? Like I can't keep track of all of them, but like there's a big difference between Snapshot with a multi-sig and then like Kyber and Compound and
Curve, I think, is also on
DAO Stack and Moloch DAOs. Like those are actual, like when the vote happens, the thing happens, right? So there's a big difference between those, I think.
Yeah.
But with Moloch and like with DAO Stack Rep, you can't borrow it. You can't like lend it and borrow it. So that's kind of what protects. That's a safety mechanism for like on-chain actionable things, which is good, I think.
Yeah. And I think like trying to mix these financial incentives with the governance incentives is the reason why you have these passive holders, right? Like if you think about it, if it's just about the governance, why would you be a passive holder, right? Like if the point of the token is to participate in governance. So I think that's where the demand comes from, for, you know, people wanting to lend out their tokens. And I think it's like good that people who can care about it can get it from the people who don't care about it. But the part about like just like it can empower like the smaller people who don't have enough governance voice, it can also empower like bigger people who can borrow a lot more and have like a much higher chance of like influencing, you know, maybe like a competing protocol or something. You know, like it starts to like, you know, imagine just some big like ICO era like project that has like a shit ton of capital that's just, you know, crushing and repeating all the projects across the Web3 space to like, you know, take everything for themselves. And just because they have so much money, they can just borrow everyone's governance tokens and kind of like, you know, not shut down these projects, but like kind of compromise the integrity of these projects. And, you know, it becomes like a dark forest, you know.
That'd be an interesting play for DM to sort of, short circuit other types of Web3 protocols through purchasing their governance rights and making terrible decisions.
Yeah.
I think right now we've only been talking about one part of what it can enable, because we've only been talking about borrowing votes to use them. The thing is, and that's one of the very interesting ideas in crypto, is that voting rights are a financial instrument used to vote, but we can probably do much more than what we've been doing right now in traditional finance with this kind of tool. As you said, the value of the token and the voting rights have been combined like a traditional security. But the idea of the protocol is that we can actually extract the voting right from the value of the token, So when you're loaning the token, you're not actually loaning a token, you're only loaning the delegation of the token. That's where actually it becomes very interesting, because it totally de-risks the loaning. For example, if you loan on Aave or Compound, you need a collateral because you actually need to give the token and the person might not give it back. If you actually only loan the voting right, there's absolutely no risk because it's the platform that controls who owns the voting right. That's one of the important aspects. The second one is that actually what happens with votes that aren't used, they can be used as an automated delegate. That means that all the loaners can actually vote and coordinate for a decision. The idea behind these protocols and more globally the ecosystem we want to build is that we want to create more active crypto citizens, more governance people that are interested by governance. I think there is a demand, and I think there is a way to create a much more efficient governance. As you said, major governance right now are not very real. There is no real decentralization of governance, and it's normal. It's a very recent venture. We are in a new world, you could say. So the idea behind the whole idea behind the project is that we can actually create a community of users that are interested in actually voting and actually being active in the governance, not only of one protocol, but all the protocols they believe in. That's the whole point. The whole point is creating a community, like you guys did at Metacartel, for example. But the idea is to do it specifically for governance and create incentive structures to actually interest people in giving their tokens or using them.
So your goal is to empower people that don't have voting power with voting power because they're active and they want to contribute and make the ecosystem better, right?
My goal is to empower people who want to make things move and to give yield to people who actually don't care. I think there's a supply and there's a demand.
Yeah, I think like the most interesting thing to come out of this is that we'll get some real numbers for how valuable governance actually is outside of like the financial incentive. And, you know, I think that's a really interesting point on how you can like separate those two. And like, you know, we can start to see like, I would be really, really interested in the data for like, you know, how much people actually value governance in the space. And, you know, it almost like would breed a new class of like protocol politicians and stuff. And I definitely think like, you know, it's not an ideal situation that we're in, but it is what it is. And we have to sort of work with that, you know, and having more like liquidity and fluidity in these governance things could actually like, I can see it like, you know, increasing the demand and increasing the interest to actually use these things for something. Whereas right now they're kind of siloed, you know, the governance power is siloed in all these different places, and like it's not really effective. But maybe this can, you know, create a new class of governance and how it happens in Web3. Yeah, let's hear from Trubit. We've been talking about governance for a while.
I was just going to ask, I think we have like 15 minutes left. Shall we listen to other members who joined just to listen about what they're building?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's hear from Jason about the Trubit mainnet launch happening soon. What's the sit rep with that?
Yeah, sure. Well, I think we're probably the antithesis of the conversation you guys have been having on this call, because I spent the last 2 years of my life completely pushing the governance out of the protocol, so that it's kind of like yeah, Trubit doesn't have a governance token, and in fact, if you look on there's a single token, which is a TRU token, in contrast to the, I guess, white paper that was up on the website. So yeah, we'll be giving more details about that, but I think that it's, yeah, sometimes governance can be, I guess, the lazy way of solving the problem, as opposed to like sort of trying to design. I mean, these economic designs are hard and they take a long time, but I think, you know, we have a very solid product on our hands. And for folks who are interested in a sneak peek, trying it out, feel free to get in touch with me, and I can get you on the quick start guide. But yeah, basically, if it's yeah, that's what I'm they say, and the tokens are sort of, yeah, I mean, they're the obvious function for in that scenario, right? I mean, for those of you, I don't know, actually, I don't know if people are familiar with TrueBit, so maybe I should take a step back before explaining how and why we eliminated the governance. But I mean, obviously enjoy hearing innovative ideas in the governance. But so TrueBit basically is a protocol which allows smart contracts to perform larger computations. So from the go-to-market point of view, that means save lots of money on Ethereum gas. So this is for the Ethereum launch, and also you can write your programs in standard programming languages like C, C++, Rust, instead of trying to engineer them into Solidity, which is, you know, kind of impossible if you're doing machine learning or video transcoding and that type of stuff. But even simple things, if you're computing some sort of derivative that goes along with your DeFi or you're processing zero knowledge proofs, I mean, we've seen those done in conjunction with DeFi. Those are sort of target use cases. So so yeah, that's kind of what it does. You can take it as a black box, and I guess in order to distinguish TrueBit from the I guess other things which are called now layer 2 solutions, which sometimes we get bucketed in there. TrueBit does not maintain any state in its system. So it's, in other words, it's a pure function. The way you would use TrueBit is your smart contract takes a function f and an input x. It makes a call to TrueBit, and TrueBit magically calls back with the output f of x. So that's pretty much how you would use it. It doesn't, you know, we don't try to keep, it's not DeFi. We're not, you know, we're not storing state of people's of people's wallets. You don't have to stake a lot of money into the protocol. And so it's basically, yeah, I mean, it has that specific function, and the tokens are designed in order to sort of carefully take into the consideration all of the parties that are involved. I mean, and in a sense, that is the governance of the protocol, right? I mean, how do you make this worthwhile for people who are solving verifying tasks, issuing tasks, building the protocol, and also on the higher level, the people who are benefiting from that in terms of their like DeFi DApps and so forth. So there's a lot of parties involved.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like the approach. You know, a lot of the time people don't need like scalability in terms of number of transactions, but more so on the like computational or storage level. And I think, yeah, this definitely serves like a unique like differentiator from like other layer 2s. Just because we're like running a bit near the end of the call, I want to give Bohdan a chance to talk about his project, and then Drew as well. Or
why don't we
yeah,
why don't we just extend the call a little bit, because yeah, I think it's good to listen to everybody who joined the call. I just wanted to ask a quick question to Jason about the launch. So how did you decide to launch finally? Did you do any fundraising? Is it going to be a fair launch? Because the launch is one of the topics that I'm interested in.
Yeah, so I think it is a fair, I guess it is a fair launch, I guess you could say it like that. So we have not sold tokens to investors. So that's something that is fairly unique in this scenario, to have a protocol, I guess, of this stature and complexity. So basically, yeah, when you participate in the protocol, the tokens will be brought into existence. So the tokens are available through the TrueBit OS client. So if you can buy them, and you can also retire them. So there are prices inside of there, so there's like no need to go to an exchange. I mean, it is a standard ERC20, so we're not prohibiting the tokens from going to an exchange in any way. But basically, yeah, if you can, if you want to try out the client, you get it going. You have access to the tokens right there. You'll need to pay for them with ethers, but that's pretty much how it would work. And, you know, obviously we would love to have folks come in and try it out. And, you know, that's sort of, it's pretty simple that way.
Maybe you can drop us the link in the chat here so that we don't forget.
So the link for, I guess I can show you guys I'll show you the main TrueBit website link. How about that? Oh, you've already, somebody put it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We got you.
Shall we?
Yeah.
Oops. Oh yeah, we already got the link. Yeah, shall we maybe jump to who was the first? I don't remember, Bogdan, who wanted to also talk about his project, and it fits nicely, I believe, in the governance conversation too. So what do you think, guys?
Let's hear it.
Thanks, Katya. Okay, so in forward, I want to say that I like this DeFi thing going on because, first of all, because of these money Legos, because of composability, that in addition with decentralization means that there is much lesser incentive to compete and more for cooperate, and that's awesome. But the thing that really intrigues me is how all this decentralized smart contract stuff could be used not just in reinventing the money like DeFi does, but reinventing the government institutions. And first of all, I mean the state. So could we create state on a blockchain? Could we use the smart contracts as state authorities? And to answer these questions, I came to the concept of one interesting project. We call it Midroom. What it is, it's an on-chain strategy game. So perhaps many of you heard about the strategy games like Age of Empires or Civilization or something like that. So the Midroom is a strategy game fully on-chain. So every in-game value is, of course, the tokens. In these games, as a player, you have your own virtual settlement as your property. You can manage your economy, build up your settlement, harvest resources, and have a war on the other players. So it's multiplayer. But the main killer feature of this game, of this project, is that any player could build arbitrary diplomacy protocols on the smart contracts. And so they can build their own virtual states, and they incentivize to build their own virtual governance and virtual states. For instance, there could be two players in Midroom. One player is stronger than another, and the stronger player comes to the weaker player and says, hey, here I have a smart contract that incentivizes both of us, so you pay me some tribute and I do not attack you. So with this smart contract, this strong player comes to the one to another, forces to sign the smart contract pact. And here we have some sort of the early feudal state. And so the idea of the Midroom game, of the Midroom project, is to make some sort of the sandbox. So players incentivized to cooperate, to build a trustless cooperation protocols, to trustless governance protocols, to build all their own virtual states in order to gain and maximize the value in game. So yeah, that's the idea. And what do you think?
I think it's really cool. Like the idea of like using games as an interface to complex systems and using like, you know, using them as like simulations for what we can now apply in real life is like, you know, super important. And I think like Web3 and Ethereum, that's really what it enables, is it enables real life to operate like these games operate. You know, there's a really great article by Virgil Griffith about how Ethereum is a game-changing technology, literally. it's like one of my favorite articles that even like got me to come into Ethereum. And yeah, like even you can see with Dark Forest as well, the sort of interest in these sort of like game like interfaces to like blockchain type governance, and how it could sort of play out. I definitely like it. I would play.
So you can just imagine some sort of new governance goals, so like a peace conferences where every parts decide how to divide the influence, how to divide the world map, how to divide all the resources. So the thing that I want to bring to blockchain is what we call a policy Legos. So you know the money Legos in a DeFi, it's all about finances, and the policy Legos. What are policy Legos? It's bricks about the laws and the diplomacy. So you can create your virtual state and you can shuffle these bricks of laws, these bricks of policy Legos. So you can create some, like I said, a feudalism, or you can create some sort of democracy, or you can create some autocracy, or maybe innovate something new. So the main thing is that the game that you could build on top of it, something else that extends the mechanic of this game. And that's all about, of course, the blockchain governance, the boosting of the blockchain governance. So as I said, the players are incentivized to build the protocols that make themselves to gain more value in cooperating. So yeah. Any other feedbacks?
It's very compelling too. I'd be interested to sort of take a look at it sometime. But yeah, I think this idea of sort of trying to solve game theoretic, lack of coordination problems through, information-based, Web3 gaming is really compelling. I've also been really interested in this space too. So I'd love to see it when you've got something to play around with.
Well, we have already the alpha with economical part.
Oh, can you drop the link?
Yeah, sure.
Sorry.
Yeah, this is super cool. I've been waiting for more people to do stuff like this. I think like this will sort of be a really powerful way for the next generation of like society to learn about governance as well, because we all grew up playing games, especially a younger generation. So it's a very natural interface for us, and we can actually take our learnings and apply it to the real world now in a more direct way. I always say that like RuneScape taught me so much about like economics and like how the world works.
Well,
and I think like
perhaps maybe you heard of the stationary bandit theory, Mansur Olson. Did somebody heard?
Which one?
Stationary bandit. Mansur Olson, the American scientist. It's a state formation theory. No one heard? Well, it's a theory. It's really related to. It really fits to the game theory of how states formated. So we know the theory about the public agreement that people just came together and agreed. But the theory that fits with the game theory that as a stationary bandit, as I said, that the stronger one just forced an agreement to the weaker one to pay a tribute. And today everyone call it the taxation. So in this project like Mitrium, in this strategy game, we're trying to simulate similar conditions. So the virtual stationary bandit could burn, and that could give the sandbox for evolution of the concept, how we could build or rebuild our definition of what state is, and of course on a smart contracts.
Awesome. It's really cool. I gotta hop off to another call, but feel free to keep chatting, and we'll have a recording too, so I'll catch up on the rest of it later. But yeah, it was really fun, everyone. Thanks. Hopefully we can keep doing these.
let me see. Do we still have? Yeah, we still have a bunch of people. So shall we look at the demo just maybe for another 10 minutes and then hop off?
Let's do it.
So I'll give a quick intro to what we're building. So basically, you guys know DeFi's got lots of hacks, right? It's almost like every day a new protocol gets hacked. And the current protection solutions, if you want to buy protection against your DeFi deposits, is you either buy insurance from Cover Protocol and Nexus Mutual, or you buy a put option. The issue with using Nexus or Cover Protocol is that you have governance voting if your claim is legitimate. And if you've ever used insurance in real life, especially like car insurance, it's very hard to get the people to pay the insurance companies to pay out. And this is when they're actually governed by like the laws. When they're blockchain, for example, you literally just have a prisoner's dilemma, which is they want to maximize the number of policies they sell while minimizing the number of payouts they actually make. And when the BZX protocol got hacked, you saw a lot of back and forth and a lot of claim denials before Nexus actually agreed to pay out a few of the claims. And if you look at their stats page, they've only paid out like 6% of claims. They've denied like 94%, I think. So the issue is we created a system where we don't have to trust anyone, but if we want to buy insurance, we literally have to trust an anonymous person on the other side of the world to do the right thing. And I thought, what we can do this by smart contracts. What if smart contracts can evaluate claims within themselves, right? So me and my co-founder put together Express protocol. And so what we do is we create smart contracts that can evaluate claims within the contract of another contract getting hacked. So I'll show you actually it at work. Here we go. So here we go. Here is a console, right, real quick. So I'm gonna run some tests and I'll show you the UI. So what we have is a few tests that actually test against previous hacks and hypothetical hacks. So let's look at Pickle Hack. So scenario, let's see. Oh, CD packages, backend. And then let's do yarn test scenarios pickle. All right, so you guys are familiar with the pickle die jar hack, which happened I think about 2 months ago. So what we did was we forked the contract at the state right after the hack, using Ganache's ability to fork mainnet state, and then we tested our contracts against it. And what you'll see is a test. So we run these tests on our continuous integration. So we always want to make sure that, if we change anything in our smart contracts, that we're still able to detect all the hacks that we had previously, plus any more hacks that we add to our testing suite. And we're always running these tests to make sure that we don't stop being able to detect hacks. And for the Pickle Hack, you can see that we initialized all the protection contracts. We underwrote the protection pool. We purchased protection, and then we tried to claim the protection. And what actually happened is you have this PDI token, right? A pickle die token, which is a claim token to a die token. So if you go to the die jar and you hand them the pickle, if you call like the withdraw function, it'll take all of your PDI and then give you die that with some interest, right, from your yield farming. So what we do is we take advantage of that. We designed a system where basically we can see how much you can actually expect from your from like the withdraw. And so what happens is if you have protection or if you purchased insurance from us, when the contract gets hacked and you want to file a claim, you send that PDI alongside your insurance tokens to us, and on your behalf, we'll try to claim it. And we have a system in our smart contracts where we can actually see how much we would get out if we tried to withdraw that PDI. And if we couldn't get a certain amount, then we'll immediately pay you out. So if you got 0, right, if the entire pool was drained and your PDI is worth literally 0 die because the die pool got drained, then we'll immediately pay you out. If you got 50%, we'll pay you out 50% difference. And we have a lot of this stuff parameterized. So like the loss threshold can be like, we'll cover it. It's like a deductible. It's like we'll cover it, all the losses after 20% loss that you take. And so all these parameters allow you to have all these different insurance products and basically create an insurance marketplace. And you can do things like reinsurance. You can break up the risk, right? If you have a pause hack, you can only cover pause ability. Like if the contract gets paused, deposit insurance, right? So if you deposit something and you can't get it out, you can buy insurance on that. If the contract got destructed, like the parity multi-sig, you can buy insurance individually on that risk too, or write it. So yeah, and then I can show you guys the actual UI here. So let me hop over to the front end. Let me do one little thing real quick. I have to run it. That will fix this issue. Perfect. Let me. All right. So this is a little mock we have. So it's like we created a mock yielding protocol, like a mock compound, basically, where we deposit some USDC. So we have, as a user, I have one insured USDC with this APR, and the pool has about 25% utilization rate because someone's deposited $4 for USDC to underwrite the pool, right? So here is where I can deposit and I can withdraw, like as a protection writer. And if I buy insurance, I can just go insure and enter amount of insurance I want to buy. But what I actually want to do is show you how that claiming system works. So I'm going to swap over to a different account real quick. So now on this other account that has no USDC, what I'm gonna do is just hack the protocol real quick. So this is just gonna take all the tokens out of the mock compound or mock wiring contract and give it to this user. And I don't know if that failed or not. If that failed, let me check on my side. I may just restart the demo actually. Let's see, terminal. Yeah, let me reset the demo real quick. Okay, so yarn chain. While that's spin up, I'm just gonna reset our accounts on settings, advanced, reset account, reset. Perfect, and then let me deploy these contracts again. And that should refresh. And that should.
Drew, while you're showing, can I ask you what stage are you? Like, are you done with the product? Are you fundraising? Are you testing? Like, where are you?
Yeah, so we're ready to launch this week, and then I think after we're going to try to do fundraising. So what we're going to start with is compound and Aave insurance. So after I show you guys this thing, I can show you guys how we're detecting hypothetical tests on Aave and compound. But yeah, so launching this week, our initial alpha on mainnet, and then going to fundraise right after that. So yeah, I just reset the demo. So so this is the user that we're supposed to hack with. So I'm just going to hack the protocol real quick. Confirm that. And so if I refresh this user that you previously had no USDC, should have one once the thing mines. Transaction. Okay, perfect. So yeah, so I think it hacked it now. So I'm going to hop over to our old user real quick. So this is the user that had insurance, right? And we're going to try to claim the insurance. You can see the contract did get hacked. So I'm just going to file a claim for 1 token. And let's see if this works. So I approved the transfer of my claim token to the insurance contract. And then I do one more transaction to finalize the claim. I confirm the claim. Or one more transaction actually to finalize the claim, sorry. So confirm that. I'm gonna wait for them to give a few seconds to mine all those transactions. Let me see on this side. Yep, just mine those transactions. So, I don't have the USDC on here. Okay, if I had the USDC counter on here, it would show that the USDC actually got increased by 1. And it's because the claim went through successfully. But yeah, that's the demo. I've been refining it. So I've been refactoring the entire thing for production. So I've been removing a lot of useless numbers and formatting things. So I did pull out the USDC amount. But if I had it there, it would have gone up by 1. But yeah, and I'm gonna show you guys a few more tests real quick. So let's try some compound tests. So let's do yarn test /test scenarios compound. So we have a few tests here for compound. So we have a normal test, which is nothing actually happened, to make sure that if nothing happened, the user isn't able to claim. So if nothing happens and someone files a claim, what actually happens is we just go withdraw the funds from, for example, compound. We take a little fee and then we give it to the user. And that prevents people from filing false claims and like trying to do some arbitrage business, basically. So people file false claims, they'll actually lose that amount of money, and the underwriters will actually gain money from people filing false claims. Yeah, so what you see here actually happened with the compound normal test is, we tried to claim it was unsuccessful because there was no hack. And what we did was an interesting thing about the USDC token is that you can blacklist users. And this is to comply with the OFAC restrictions in the United States. So they have to be able to blacklist users that government agencies deem are sanctioned by the United States. So what you can do is we can assume that user account that's allowed to do that with the Ganache test suite. And then we can blacklist Compound and say Compound's not allowed to move USDC around. And with that, we're able to basically say like what happens if you pause the USDC, and we're able to detect that and pay out the user when we see that they can't actually withdraw the USDC. And this is one of the unique tests that we can do, and we can do those same tests with Aave.
While you're doing it, let me just say quickly, I'm going to speak for myself. I don't know for the other members. I'm very interested in the topic. I'm an investor in Nexus. I'm an investor in Unsplash. I think I have a lot of questions about the mechanics, which I don't think we should tackle today. Maybe if there is something you can share, like a deck that we can drop in our internal Metacartel Ventures Discord and have a conversation between members on that. And then maybe if like other members find this interesting, maybe it deserves a separate call, because this is a big topic, and I'm sure like the other members have questions as well.
Definitely, yeah. I just dropped the white paper in there. It really doesn't detail much of the claims process because we just finished it, because it was a big R&D. Because it was like a scientific experiment. Like, we think we can do this. We actually had to prove out we could do this, and then we had to prove that we could do this on protocols that are actually ongoing. So we haven't detailed the claims process that I just showed you guys and described to you guys in the white paper, but I'll update that to better reflect it. But that has all the IDs on there.
Is it audited?
No, so that's the thing. It's not audited just yet. So that's why when we're launching it, there's going to be restrictions on how much you can underwrite and how much you can buy. And we're only going to go after protocols that are low risk, like Aave and like Compound. But that does present an interesting point, which is when we were talking with people, we learned auditing takes such a long time, right? If you enter the line right now, you'll get it in April. An interesting idea would be if you were about to launch a protocol and you didn't have the funds or the time to wait to get audited, what if you could have us write an insurance wrapper for your contract and launch with insurance, if that makes sense? So users that do deposit money into your contract have insurance if your contract gets hacked.
You should insure your own system.
Yeah, exactly. So you would put skin in the game. So you would either write it or we could write it for you, and basically that would be like not a substitute, but like something to take the place of an audit till you get the audit, so you can keep moving without being like time locked.
Yeah, but I mean, X risk should insure X risk.
Yeah, definitely. So in the initial days, we're gonna try to try to write the protection, right? So we wrote the code. We're willing to put the money up to show we're confident in what we wrote.
What is there like a expected return for the underwriters? Like, do you have an idea of?
Yeah, you can probably use Nexus to gauge sort of what the returns will be. For something like Compound or Aave, it's very low because it is low risk. But here's the great thing about this. It's that you can do insurance with any token, right? So you can write insurance with PDAI, I mean, not PDAI. You can, if you wanted to, you can write insurance with PDAI. You can write insurance with DAI, USDC, like the prime stable tokens. You can write it with wrapped ETH, or you can use LP tokens, right? So if you have Uniswap LP tokens, and as a insurance buyer, you're willing to say, look, Uniswap's safe. I'm willing to get paid out in Uniswap LP tokens. You as an insurance underwriter can basically double dip. You can underwrite, or you can pool in Uniswap, get yield there, and now you can take those LP tokens and earn more yield here, insuring. If the protocol gets hacked, the person that has insurance gets LP tokens instead of like a stable token paid out to them, and they can claim that LP token for the assets. And you keep doing that, right? So you can have a real like insurance net where you can do reinsurance, right? So you can have multiple pools, and we detail this in that white paper. You can have multiple pools, and if like you can really reduce the price of insurance if you're willing to, you know, expose yourself to more risk. But yeah, it's like endless possibilities that we can do.
Getting paid in LP tokens on Uniswap, if Uniswap gets hacked, is kind of an issue because they might be worth zero.
Yeah, so you can't insure Uniswap with Uniswap LP tokens. So you can say, I want to insure Compound with Uniswap LP tokens, right? So the big risk is if both these things blow up at the same time, or if the Uniswap blows up. And again, we have to make sure those details are presented to the insurance buyers as, you know, prevalent risk. Like if Uniswap blows up, you're not going to get paid out. Or you may get paid out less than you actually expected. But as long as they're willing to accept that risk, then they can get cheaper insurance. So like cross insuring protocols.
Cool.
Super dope, Drew. Thanks a lot for sharing. I think we are about to close this call out of time, unless someone else have some small comments here in the end. It was a great pleasure to start this initial community call. I have shared the links that I could also with other members from Metacartel, and very inspiring. Looking forward to see more from you, Drew. Looking forward to see finally TrueBit on mainnet, Jason. And,
so I guess actually Drew gave me an idea. What I'd like to do maybe on a future call is have folks, we could do a live TrueBit demo, either testnet or mainnet, depending on how people are inclined, but probably testnet first. And what we could do is have a call where people send tasks to each other and issue tasks and solve them, maybe have a little beer. But we, yeah, I think it would be kind of a fun thing to do. So maybe in a future call we can happy to get people. I mean, I can do a demo here on my local computer, but it's not quite as fun as making you know, your own tasks and sending them across. So
sounds great. Yeah, I think we'll be, at least for myself, would love to see that. And the next call, I think we try to have something like a monthly cascade right now, but we could also do it more frequently. Like this was just an experiment to see like who would show up, and I think it turned out to be a great success. So yeah, yeah,
that's fine. And we can do it. We can plan for a month. I'm fine with that. You know, I think let's I'll be in touch with Katja, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah. And people are asking how to get in contact with Drew. There's an email there. Excellent.
So I need to I can put my email in the chat if people want to.
Sure, feel free to, yeah.
So here we go.
I still remember the old Easter egg on the original TrueBit website when you would click and there would be this like out of gas video. That was like an old gem on your first website on TrueBit. 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think that's yeah, I made that video myself, so I'm quite proud. So, but there was actually another Easter egg on there that was made by Matt. What's his name? Anyway, he threw it on the Stake Network. Had a pretty cool Easter egg.
Yeah, for this time the extra hidden Easter egg. Brilliant.
Yeah, I don't know. I had like that website was something that, you know, very few people were neutral about it. I mean, there were some people who thought it was great, and then there were the others who just absolutely hated it. And then, you know, one day we decided to take the plunge and make a new website. But anyway, so yeah, thanks for remembering that.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I'm gonna post this video also on, I think, Meta Media. It's Hamad's MetaGame Meta channel, because we don't have actually DAO channel at the moment, so it's gonna come out there. So let's call it a wrap, and thanks a lot, guys. Have a good day.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, see you then.
Bye.
Bye.